Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan, and are you sick of hearing about Cathay yet? I'm assuming not, because there's a bit more information. You see, Games Workshop have also released a video and an article on Warhammer community giving more information regarding Cathay, even some new art too. So let's not waste any more time and jump right in, because there's a lot to talk about. So we're going to skip anything that we've already seen in the trailer, as there's no point repeating ourselves, but what we do have on screen right now is some concept art of Miao Ying with her dragon form. It's a little less detailed than, say, for example, Miao Ying in the actual trailer, but this could be the fact that this is old world art, and seeing as she is fairly ancient, it's a possibility that she might be a legendary character in Warhammer the Old World, which does make sense, and hey, I would paint this. Seems easy enough, as long as it's not white scales, I'm happy. Now we have some information regarding the character and Grand Cathay as a whole, where they say Miao appears at the head of a Grand Cathayan host that's been designed by the Warhammer studio from the ground up in an unprecedented collaboration with long-term partners Creative Assembly, the studio behind Total War Warhammer 1, 2, and of course 3. For all intents and purposes, Grand Cathay is a brand new faction, but it's every bit as Warhammer as Emperor Karl Franz. They're trying to keep it as close to the fluff as possible. Next we have some more artwork, which is focused around a Cathayn city in the sky, I'm imagining, or a temple. This could be very closely associated with Wei Jin, as it does kind of have that little feeling about it. It looks absolutely fantastic, and honestly, it just blows my mind seeing art like this. It's just so cool. Now a little bit more text information. The Storm Dragon Miao Ying is charged with defending the northern border from the relentless incursions of chaos. She commands the armies of the Great Bastion, a towering magical wall constructed by her father, the Celestial Dragon Emperor, that stands as a powerful vanguard against the ever-present threats to Cathay. If you think magical walls sound rad, perhaps you spotted that big chap with the glowing face and halberd. That's the Terracotta Sentinel, a statue that can come to life to defend the city. You might also be able to make out an alchemist and an astromancer, Cathay's two main magical swords. Okay, so we get a little bit of information there. It looks like the astromancer probably has the laws of yin and yang, and the alchemist might have something else. This is really curious, because usually alchemy isn't magic, it's potion brewing, isn't it? So I wonder what they have planned with this. Next, we've got some more concept art regarding the giant terracotta statues, and you know, Warhammer Fantasy fans, tabletop fans in fact, keep an eye out. You see the Old World logo there. It's becoming more and more common, isn't it? This is pretty cool. I've got to say, I love the Terracotta Warrior look. They look absolutely awesome, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be using a doom stack of those when the game comes out. When regards to tabletop, if they can improve the issues with the monster rules that were available in 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy, then they'll be much more usable. Okay, a little bit more text information now. Cathay is a sprawling empire as diverse and eclectic as the Empire of the Old World, and among its ranks can be found infantry, cavalry, and war machines, as well as far stranger units. We'll let the eagled eye among you try and work out what those units might be, but now that you've come to mention it, those do look like Chaos Warriors riding discs of Tzeentch, don't they? We would say more, but Xiangxi, as the Changer of Ways is known in Cathay, won't let us. Yeah, this is pretty cool. So Tzeentch is due an upgrade. This might mean some good things for Age of Sigmar, Warhammer the Old World, and of course, well, you know, Warhammer 3. So hey, let's just keep this moving. I'm really excited. Tzeentch deserves a lot of love, especially for stuff like Age of Sigmar on the tabletop. And yeah, this should be really cool. Now a closer look at some concept art for a unit, which I'm assuming is going to be quite high-tiered given the way that he is dressed. I mean, that is very regal-looking clothes. And he looks pretty badass. I mean, he could even be a hero or a lord. I mean, just look at that design. That is clearly a mixture of light and heavy armor, possibly allowing for cavalry movement. I'm really curious to see what happens here, because this is really cool. Again, another Old World logo too. Okay, so while we don't have the name for this unit, we pretty much know that this is going to be a low-tier infantry, as it looks like a peasant warrior. And you know that's great, it gives you like that feel with Bretonnia where you use some peasantry as early chaff, and we've been told that Cathay has large numbers, so it's likely that we'll be able to field these guys in really large, I'm talking Skaven-like numbers. I like the design. You can tell that this isn't a warrior. This is someone who's training to be a warrior and is likely going to be thrown into the front line. It's cool. I like it. The little water bottle there on the side too is kind of nice. We've seen this troop around in screenshots, and it's nice to get a proper look at everything here, as obviously screenshots where we're looking from an aerial point of view. So spears, I guess, halberds, swords, crossbows, shields. There's a lot of different variants here. I'm assuming tier 1 or tier 2 units? It makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of variety here. So you can have pretty much everything you need for your armies. It makes a lot of sense. And once again, like we've seen through every image, there's a logo of the old world too. This is giving me a lot of hope. We have a little bit more information which goes as follows. With Grand Cathay looming in the Warhammer background for so long, they've been a much requested addition over the years, but beyond a few adventurous ogres and the odd hobgoblin Khan, we've never really seen much of Cathayans. When it came time to design them for the next installment in the blockbuster Total War Warhammer series, the Warhammer studio leapt at the chance to bring Cathay into the fold. Andy Hall, the emperor of all things Old World, has more. Now, before anything, when we jump into the rest of the article, there is a video, which is an interview with Games Workshop designers about creating Cathay. So we're going to look at that and stop at any part that we need to if there's anything that we need to note.
Cathay's been in Warhammer as long as there's been Warhammer. The very first edition of the game, going back to the 1984, something like that, 83, 84, mentions Cathay in a very loose form. In fact, all of the familiar nations of the Warhammer world were mentioned in only very passing sort of way in those early editions. And so when it came to actually working on Cathay with Creative Assembly, we went back to those early mentions. We picked out those little Easter eggs that had been left for us by previous generations of writers, and we expanded and extrapolated them and came up with a complete faction, a complete nation.
It's great to see that Games Workshop is going back to really old lore, stuff that may no longer be relevant at this point due to changes, and have been inspired by old lore. This is so important as it keeps the history of Warhammer Fantasy alive and well. And it very much shows when we look at Cathay now through the trailer, there's very obvious tributes there. It's just so cool. I am absolutely pleased with everything so far from what I've seen visually.
I mean, we got together as a team. So the first thing is we sit in a room, we discuss what is Cathay. This is a new design, a new army. Where do we start? We start from the ground up. Okay, let's get a bit of history. So our rules writers will join in. We'll come up with history, we'll play with ideas. We'll also have a discussion with Creative Assembly, because they have their own ideas and opinions, and we're sort of like mediating it and helping control what is right and what fits our world.
So the influence is there between the rules writers, the lead developers, and Creative Assembly. That's really nice to hear that everyone's getting a bit of a say. Of course, Games Workshop, I know some people might not be too keen on that, but Games Workshop do deserve the biggest say when it comes to this, as we're expecting this for Warhammer the Old World. But everything we've seen so far is fantastic, and let's just hope it continues this way.
The thing about Warhammer Old World is it's sort of on a basis on historical real armies. So our first port of call would look at ancient Chinese armies, look how they're built up, look at the designs, look at the way they're armoured, the way their units fought. And that's a good starting point as a foundation for designing an army. And from there, we'd start to put the fantastical into it.
Okay, this might not mean a lot to you guys if you've only really been interested in Total War Warhammer, but from a tabletop point of view and a lore point of view, that was great. You could just see the smile there at the end too. A historical point of view and then put the fantasy into it. That is Warhammer Fantasy. That is exactly what the fan base wants and what the fan base deserves. Not only just for Total War Warhammer, but for Warhammer the Old World. And you can tell that these devs are passionate. I honestly can't wait to see more. Keep in mind, I've been playing this game now for a long time. I have pretty much every single army ever released for Warhammer Fantasy. I have almost every model that's been out to print and released officially. This is awesome. This is awesome.
who are the characters that you see on the tabletop? Who are the soldiers? How and why do they fight? But also the top level, the top down. What's the big history of Cathay? Who are the Dragon Emperors? Why are they dragons?
We needed the look of the army to be a hierarchy of dragons that controlled this army. We knew that the leaders and the Emperor and the Empress were both dragon forms. They were first dragons. This is not a dragon that has a rider on the back. They would never imagine that. They are the leaders, but they also can take human form to interact with their own people. And so we wanted the hierarchy to be a dragon-ruled cities. From there, we sort of worked and said, okay, you would have a similar to an empire where you'd have militia and peasant factors. You want that in there as well to give you a feel of the human level.
It feels like this army is going to have a bit of everything. It feels like it's going to have some great magic. It's going to have serried ranks of disciplined warriors. It's going to have war machines. It's going to have magicians. It's going to have flying things and cavalry. The secret to this army is in the way all of these disparate unit types work together. But the overall theme is disciplined ranks of very skilled soldiers, high magic, all of that sort of thing is there. But the way they balance off against each other is key. Using them together in a balanced way is key.
That was just awesome. This is, again, me fanboying because, yeah, this is cool. This is really, really cool. We've got a little bit more information here, so let's discuss this. This iteration of Grand Cathay is a Warhammer Studio creation through and through. Everything from preliminary concept sketches and special character design to how the army performs on the battlefield was established by the same teams working on the wider Warhammer settings. In fact, the Warhammer Studio went as far as to establish each and every unit for use on the tabletop, including stats and special abilities, and they do mention at the very bottom by the 8th edition rules. God, that's awesome. These numbers were then expertly translated and transposed by the technomancers at Creative Assembly, who deftly wove them into a rich campaign in this never-before-seen part of the Warhammer world. I really hope this means Cathay in miniatures for Old World, because if they've done rules and so on, you know, this can be doable. Like, I will spend money. I really want Cathayan armies. Other than that, we've pretty much expected all this once again, so this is pretty cool. Everything seems exciting enough. I'm honestly just incredibly hyped. You can tell by my voice, I'm imagining. One last bit of concept art, which seems to be a floating town or temple or something. It's most likely a group of temples, but this looks really, really cool. I do hope that this means that we'll get loads of varied looking stuff like this, and terrain pieces on the tabletop would be great. As for Total War Warhammer, I don't know how this would work unless there's aerial battles or something, which would be kind of cool, but I very much doubt it. But this shows up as terrain and so on. That would be really, really, really cool. I would love to see floating areas like this around the battlefield once I'm playing Total War Warhammer with my armies of Tzeentch with loads of flying units and stuff like that. That would just be absolutely awesome. And now a little bit of information with something very important at the end too, so let's just discuss. Cathayn Society follows the harmonious teachings of the Celestial Dragon Emperor and his equally powerful consort, the Moon Empress. They also happen to be two of the oldest beings still alive, predating even the arrival of the Old Ones. They're not gods, nor do they wish to be worshipped as such, but they are nevertheless so spectacularly powerful that they are quite detached from the day-to-day runnings of their empire, which falls on their children to manage. Quick thing here, Creative Assembly mentioned that they're gods, but Games Workshop is saying they're not gods, so there's a bit of an issue there. I'm following Games Workshop here, as of course, they're the ones who own the universe. But this is the thing that's rather important. Children, that's right. Miao Ying has siblings, including a certain Iron Dragon. We'll be revealing more about the ruling dragons next week, so keep an eye on the Warhammer community for all details. Of course, this is where I'm confused, as we know of one sibling, this is the other legendary lord, the Iron Dragon himself, but does that mean she has more? DLC lords, perchance? Which, I don't know, would be a shame because obviously we're waiting for a character like the Monkey King, but I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. Let's just not jump the gun here. They're clearly hinting at other siblings, though, that's for sure. But that's pretty much everything in terms of information here, and it's been a long, long day with loads of videos released in one go. I hope you guys are hyped up for Cathay. I sure am. The tabletop stuff was just really lovely to read. The interview was awesome. I'm extremely hyped up, and I hope you guys are too. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and let's start a bit of a discussion. And with that, have a good day. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince, and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman, and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel has been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.